Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I hope today proves to be an epic day in the tri-state history as it relates to healthcare workers. And maybe it will be for the entire country. I have in my hand right here a 110-page lawsuit coupled with an affidavit by an expert witness that is going to be filed against the six largest tri-state healthcare systems today. That means by the day's end, we will have filed, Deters Law will have filed lawsuits against St. Elizabeth Medical Center, Christ Hospital, Children's Hospital, UC Health, Mercy, and TriHealth, and their physician groups. And I just want everyone to know that I really admire the brave healthcare workers who have agreed to put their names on the complaints, as well as those that have agreed to be part of the class action. Now, this is going to be emailed to all of you. It will also be emailed out to the tri-state media. It's going to be emailed out as well to the national media. I want to read the introductory statement to the lawsuit. By the way, this video is going to be longer than normal. This lawsuit is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for healthcare workers who 1 year ago were repeatedly referenced as essential heroes. This lawsuit is about government control over the entire healthcare system and whether or not the government can avoid constitutional protections by acting through nonprofit hospitals. This lawsuit is about a criminal conspiracy between the government, the pharmaceutical industry, and hospital systems. This lawsuit is about a criminal conspiracy between hospitals and their physician-owned physician groups. This lawsuit is about whether or not in the United States of America we have reached a point where Americans must choose between taking a dangerous, unknown vaccine or lose not just their jobs, but their lifelong careers. The facts which follow establish these hospitals' mission statements only really apply to the healthcare workers, not the board and the management. And then, just so you know what the lawsuit contains, is a complete background of information regarding the coronavirus chronology, government, the history of government lying to the American public, the history of pharmaceutical lying to the American public, the history of corporate America lying to the American public, the history of the media lying to the American public, and the history of wide-scale corruption from time to time in the hospitals across this country, including, remember, this happened in Cincinnati. From 2005 to 2013, nearly every hospital in Cincinnati allowed Dr. Durrani to perform unnecessary spine surgeries. Why? For money. So the context of that goes for like the first 50 pages. And the reason why is because it makes the point of why should we blindly trust these organizations and members of what I refer to as the American Communist 10 who have a history of lying to us and bad things happening. It also points out the mandates that are coming from the government and Joe Biden's mouth himself. The Trump lawsuit in Florida basically argues that censorship is coming from the government against him through social media. And I believe that. But guess what? There is no question that the mandates coming to these healthcare workers through these hospitals is coming from the government, the federal government. And you know what? It's kind of sickening. Joe Biden is actually, and he's quoted from page 25 to 26, he's quoted all the things he has said and done. You have Medicare and Medicaid in this country are going to determine reimbursement rates based upon how many healthcare workers are vaccinated. And ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, we have received probably 7,000 emails from the tri-state and across this country informing us of everything that's gone on. Then, beginning on page 27, we cover the COVID science, including the affidavit of a Christ Hospital hematologist and oncologist, Dr. Weselenko, whose contract was not renewed at Christ Hospital after raising issues about the vaccine. And it covers everything about the vaccine. It also covers all the reasons why somebody would not want to take the vaccine. It covers it all. It points out, then we get into all the mandates. It's off the charts, the coordination by these 6 major healthcare who did a joint announcement when they announced it. And then some of the things that are just going to just, the information in these comes from the emails from these frontline workers who rename anonymous unless they're in play. So then we detail it all. And this goes on for like 30 or 40 pages. Everything that's been told to us by these groups. And here is some of the criminality. I mean, it is criminal conduct. You have hospitals reporting fraudulent numbers, manipulating numbers, manufacturing numbers. You have hospital healthcare groups telling their physician groups to not grant medical exemptions no matter what. So, the causes of action that are brought: the violation of the right to refuse unwarranted and medically unnecessary medical care. Criminal coercion. Did you know that there are state and federal statutes about criminal coercion? Fraud in the concealment and constructive fraud. Here's something: tortious interference with personal health care. Think about that. You have a healthcare group who employs a doctor telling that doctor, you don't approve a medical exemption. Fraudulent inducement, civil and criminal conspiracy, civil liability for criminal conduct, violation at will employment doctrine, public policy exception. By the way, these hospitals were advised, I guarantee it, by their big shot defense law firms. They're employees at will. You can do whatever they want. No, 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 no. You can't commit crimes upon these people and escape litigation. Breach of fiduciary duty and negligence, duress, violation of the Sherman Act, antitrust. Folks, it's black and white. You have these 6 healthcare systems coming together and mandating this, and you know what? By doing it, so any of these nurses and healthcare workers can't go to another one of their groups. The Major League Baseball was once busted by saying no right fielder, for example, is going to make more than $10 million. Well, these tri-state hospitals, in their evil conspiracy, are basically trying to put out of business 30-year career nurses. Say, hey, you can't go anywhere because this is being mandated. They're working together, collusion to do this. It's evil. Think about this. Tri-state hospitals who a year ago bragging about all their healthcare workers being heroes, being so evil and so sick that they make these healthcare workers decide your career or a fraudulent, dangerous, freaking vaccine. And let's face it, it's 40 to 50% of the healthcare workers in the tri-state. These aren't stupid people. Why don't they want to take that vaccine? There's 66,000 employees represented by these 6 healthcare chains. If 40% of those people don't want to vax, what happens to our tri-state healthcare system when they all stick to their guns? And there's already a healthcare worker shortage. I've seen the emails, folks. The problem that's going on in these hospitals isn't COVID. It's what they're doing to their healthcare workers that are driving them out. Many have already said, I've had enough. I'm quitting no matter what. Many are waiting to see what happens. Many are having faith in Deters Law to stop it. But think about that. They are ready to blow up the entire tri-state healthcare system. And who is it on? It's going to be on the federal government and these hospital systems, not these healthcare workers who they're trying to guilt, bully, and do everything else to, bribe. Declaratory relief, injunctive relief, class action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. By the way, it's called outrage. That's where you're not harmed by getting in a car accident, but it's something that's so outrageous. Is not trying to force somebody to take a medical procedure without their consent not outrageous? What more is outrageous? And how about this? Informed consent. All these hospital systems say, hey, here's some information. It's all pro-vax information. So they get fully informed and they say, no. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I've done medical malpractice my entire legal career before I retired. You have to have known informed consent. And guess what? Every patient has a right to say no. No. They are trying to force a medical procedure on people without their consent. It's sick. And there's a special relationship. This isn't the normal employer-employee relationship. These are healthcare workers, and healthcare workers in hospitals are deemed so essential, they never got locked down. And another thing, I'm getting on a roll here. And I'm going to forget something. I'll get to that in a minute. How messed up is it? This is really messed up. That for a year and a half, these healthcare workers put on their masks, did their thing, and guess what? Guess what? There was no problem. Healthcare workers aren't spreading the COVID. They're not spreading it. How messed up? And you know what? It's clear the high percentage rate of those people that are getting COVID have gotten vaccinated. And they're lying about those things. The lawsuit, there's too much for me to cover. The lawsuit details it all. And those of you that receive a copy of this, spread it. Email it to your friends. Email it to your friends. We threw in there the violation of the unconstitutional conditions doctrine and the 14th Amendment right to due process because it's really government action. It really is. The Nuremberg Code in 1947, we're making that claim. And in Ohio, Kentucky, it wasn't relative, we are throwing in an Ohio civil RICO claim. RICO is criminal racketeering, organized crime. These hospitals are participating in that. They are committing massive crimes. You want to know what those crimes are? Healthcare fraud, false reporting. We have a section on it where we outline it all. It's pretty amazing. Now, New York Times. As Delta variant rises, by the way, folks, in the tri-state, there's no COVID crisis at all going on right now. It's not. It's not happening. They are trying to create one, but the reports coming in inside these hospitals, I've gotten the emails. I got the emails. There's not a COVID crisis going on in the tri-state. New York Times yesterday, a Delta variant rises, a shortage of nurses imperils patients. So what do? Get the vax or you're fired. Guess what? I have a message to all you big defense firms representing these hospitals and all you CEOs and managers watching this. They ain't backing down. There'll be a few that give in, but these folks are not backing down. You need to reverse course immediately. You want to settle this lawsuit? Reverse course. End the mandate. And don't test them every freaking day and every freaking week when they're asymptomatic. By the way, the rules that they've operated under when it was really bad and the rules they're trying to operate under now, totally different. And the rules now are more severe than when it was bad. We're We're going to be emailing the lawsuits. Tomorrow, we will be filing motions for injunctive relief in all 6 of these lawsuits. Those of you that are not connected to the rest of these, September 1st is next Wednesday. By week's end, including tomorrow, we will start filing other lawsuits against these other healthcare entities across the state of Ohio and Kentucky, like Kettering, Dayton's Children's, and so forth and so on. It's not too late, folks. Over the last 48 hours, if you sent us a contract and you wanted to be named as a plaintiff and you're not on the lawsuit, we can add you later. But we had to draw the line somewhere, or else we would have kept, By the way, I wish I would have had another week to work with the team on this thing. We had lawyers, nurses, me, all the people. It'd been nice to have another week to polish this thing even more, but we don't have time. I do think that when you read this lawsuit, you're going to feel better about your decision and better about our chances. The facts, the science, the claims, how to play it out, folks. If you are somebody that you're going to cave at the end, you're going to cave at the end, let's see what happens. You got time to always cave. You don't have to cave yet. If you're fired, we will sue their ass off for wrongful termination. If they challenge your unemployment, we'll take care of that. If you have an adverse reaction to the vax, tell all the people that that we want to take claims against these hospitals if they forced you to take a vax. Now they'll say, we didn't force them. Oh yeah, we'll see. That's a fact issue for a jury. We want cases like that. Deters Law does. And remember, I'm a retired lawyer who helps on everything, which I'm allowed to do. The goal is to end the mandate and this BS testing they want to do. Forced vaccine proof card. You ever notice these vaccine cards? There's a place for 4 shots. It's almost like, well, we were planning on 3 boosters. And this is not, I say this all the time. I can't believe more people don't say it. This is not the bubonic plague. This is not the bubonic plague. Oh, also, if the FDA comes out and approves Pfizer today, doesn't change anything. Why? It's all a scam. We detail Pfizer's role in this lawsuit and how dangerous their vaccine is. The fact that the FDA gets bought off, it's all a ploy to try to get people to get vaccinated. They didn't go through all of the regimented testing for this, and there's now even a whistleblower against Pfizer. The emails, folks, coming in from these hospitals to the healthcare workers is unbelievable. They're begging them to stick around. They're trying to bribe them, asking retired nurses to come back. It's off the charts. Other states, we're going to be sending this out to other states, and people can, change it, sign their name and file. But I'm hoping that some law firms around the country get a little bit more interested in taking up this litigation once they see what we're doing here. Folks, it's criminal enterprise. This is what they're doing. When you read this, it is shocking. It is shocking. And you know why they're doing it? Because what happens when the media, the tri-state and all their puff pieces, when the media, corporate America, hospitals, state and federal government, all are in cahoots, none of them worry about the other. They're like, oh, who's going to do it? Who's going to do anything to us? This will be sent to county and United States prosecutors in the tri-state. It'll be interesting to see what a Commonwealth attorney or TNT Joe, we know TNT isn't going to do anything because he's bought and paid for by Dinsmore and Scholl, who represents the hospitals. But it'll be interesting to see somebody takes a look at this and say, wait a minute. Now, I want to ask you this question. Just imagine. If the hospitals are knowingly manipulating numbers, knowingly false reporting numbers to state and federal agencies, that is criminal. And the CEOs, the COOs, the CFOs, and the boards of these hospitals deserve criminal, federal, and state prosecution. It's right here. It's not the Bulldog dreaming it up. It comes straight from the emails and the mouths of tri-state healthcare workers. And it's going on all around the country. Remember, if you get a medical exemption. How evil is that? Telling them not to grant a medical exemption no matter what. And I put this in here when my part of my helping drafting this thing. It was my idea. How about this? These doctors, you spineless cretins, that you sell your soul to your healthcare networks and they own you. Does that feel good? The little country membership and the Mercedes that you drive and the shopping that your wife gets to do, does that make you feel good? That you sold your soul to that healthcare group so bad, that you won't give a medical exemption no matter what. And guess what else we have in here? Physicians have squealed behind the scenes. There's an admission that the false reporting of COVID to get reimbursed more money exists. It is Medicare and Medicaid fraud on a massive scale. And we're coming for you. Don't be afraid. Be brave. This is, in my opinion, one of the, if not the, largest criminal conspiracies against healthcare workers and the American public in history. I don't know what's bigger because it affects everybody. It's unbelievable. Facts, facts, facts. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. St. Elizabeth Medical Center, Christ Hospital, Tri-Health, Mercy, UC Health, and who did I leave off? Children's are going to have very, very bad days. They can look at this and they can try to spin it all they freaking want. It's going to be interesting to see the judges in the tri-state that get this. They're going to look at that, and judges are going to look at that and they say, of course, these are judges running for election. Remember that. They're running for the election. You'll be able to pack the courtroom at the injunction hearings. The judges looking at this are going to say, okay, I'm going to be on record as forcing these people to take their vax or give up their careers when there's criminality involved. We'll see what happens when they run for election. It's full court press. Hey, you know what? They're scorched earth, aren't they? Well, guess what? We're going scorched earth. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. I think when you read this, you're going to be very happy.